Hey guys, today I wanted to go ahead and jump into something new, something different, and that is we're going to be setting up something called Vaultwarden into our Kubernetes cluster. And the cool thing about this is that it's essentially a password manager, a self-hosted password manager that isn't too expensive for your resources, but allows you to essentially integrate anywhere in any device using Bitwarden specifically. So let's go ahead and kind of jump into the overview of Vaultwarden. So what is Vaultwarden, right? Vaultwarden is essentially a Bitwarden client API that's written in Rust and compatible with official Bitwarden clients. Now, what does that mean? That means that this is an open source and an alternative project to something called Bitwarden. And what Bitwarden is essentially a password manager that is pretty powerful, and it gives you a lot of tools and resources to keep track of your passwords and also like generate new passwords. Anytime you creating a new account somewhere, you can immediately save it using this. The nice thing about this is that since it's self-hosted, you don't have the nice thing about Vaultwarden is since it's self-hosted, you don't have to worry about the scares of databases being leaked, like all of these ones. So in 2022, LastPass got leaked, Norton LifeLock, 1Password, LastPass again in 2022, Password State. And you can see all of these get leaked either through attackers actually getting into the customer vault, or I believe some of these have had issues where employees had been bad actors in their own right. So it's kind of crazy, and they warrant these subscription-based things and these cloud-based solutions, but then are in their own right unsafe. That's where having it in-house is considerably more trustworthy and free, for that matter. So you don't have to worry about the data ever having an employee having a grudge against you and getting all of your database exposed, right? So you can see here Bitwarden also offers different tiers. They do have a free tier, but for business and everything else, they start to charge. And sure, they're like, this works and you could use the free tier, but nice thing is if you use Bitwarden, you can see here you can log into Bitwarden and you can access not bitwarden.com or EU, but you can do your own self-hosted, and that's what we're going to be doing today. You can see I was testing this out, and on my subdomain pass.johnnydeets.com I had my own self-hosted environment. Then I was able to log into Bitwarden and then upload all of my previous passwords from my other password manager into this. So I believe in the last episode I had talked about KeePass, and that's actually something that I currently use mainly. But the problem with this guy is he can't be hosted in a good way. He has like a local database, and it is secure in the sense that you can locally host it that way, but you have to essentially like store the database in different spots, and then you have to then access the database with a key. And then what you're going to be really doing is like sharing the database, which I'm not really a fan of. I think this other solution of just having Vaultwarden set up and accessing it from Vaultwarden is way simpler. And the nice thing is, like, Bitwarden has a ton of different integration apps. You can see here they have an extension for every type of browser that there is. Plus, they have mobile applications, so they have Apple and Android, and you can do like specific installs on your different devices, right? Linux, Windows, and Mac OS. Very much cross-platform. That pretty much wraps up the overview for this. It's pretty awesome stuff we're going to be setting up today. It's nothing, and it won't be too much to actually get set up. We'll kind of have to follow the same things that we've done before. And to start with, we're going to be essentially setting up the secrets and the database for our Vaultwarden instance. Hey everybody, so the first thing we're going to be jumping into is creating that job that's going to create the Postgres database for our Vaultwarden server. So this database is essentially going to store all of the passwords and credentials for the users. And Vaultwarden by default uses SQLite, but we're going to be using our Postgres database because you can see here I have MinIO with a remote backup set up. So because I have this set up, Postgres is saving into MinIO. MinIO is then being saved elsewhere into my remote. So in essence, by setting up Vaultwarden to store all of its data into Postgres, and then subsequently backing it all up at a regular interval. So yeah, it's pretty cool stuff to be able to integrate with the rest of the cluster like this. And to actually do this, there's a little bit that we're gonna want to do. You can kind of see I did some stuff, but I have a job and it's in the file here for you guys, but that job might not work for you if you don't have the right credentials for your user. So what I ended up actually doing is not running that job, but instead I went into my cluster, and you can see here database 2 was the one that was able to write, and I went into him and then I genuinely just ran the script create user, and then the user, which in this case is going to be Vaultwarden underscore admin, and then with password, and then password, right? Whatever the password is going to be. And then after this, I ran the next SQL command for create database, and then the name of the database, so Vaultwarden, and then owner Vaultwarden admin, right? And then just like this, you'll create it and set it up. So I'll have this command in the README as well if you want to go this route of actually just executing this. If you have a super user that you can provide the credentials to by using a secret, then you can just use the job that's also provided. Either or, whatever's easier. Ideally, I think the job should be easier if you have that super user. I just don't have them at the moment. I'll probably end up eventually creating them, but for now I just don't. So this works just the same. And yeah, once you create it, it will be set up, and we can move on to the next steps, which are going to be actually going in and we're going to be creating a couple secrets. So one of the secrets is going to be this Cloudflare API token secret. Again, this is because I don't use a cluster issuer. I'm just using a namespace issuer. That's still going to be the case for me in this instance, so I'm just going to keep going along with it. I already created it here. I'm not going to show you what it is because it's mine. And then the next thing we're going to create is actually two different secrets. We're going to create a secret, an opaque secret, and this one is going to be for the Vaultwarden email secret. And then he's going to have the two keys, the username and the value, and then password, right? So for the email secret, this is going to be using the Google app password, and then that allows you to essentially log in with your email. So that's how we're going to be setting up the SMTP server for Vaultwarden. So that way, if you forget your password, you can log back in. And then to actually get the app passwords, you're going to come in here, you're going to go to your Google account, which I should be able to just go, and then you're going to type in app password on the search bar. You'll see it pop up in here, app passwords. It's gonna force you to log in, and then once you're in app passwords, you'll just have to go in and actually give it a name, and then once you hit create, it'll pop up with your app password, and you'll just copy this and put it in your secret. And then the second secret that we're gonna be creating is gonna be the Vaultwarden PostgreSql secret, and this is gonna be the exact same thing we just did. We have our username and password, but this time stored as a secret in the same namespace where our Vaultwarden is going to be installed. So I'm going to go ahead and update the password and then hit create, and then we'll move forward from there. One last thing I'm going to be doing here, we're going to be creating an issuer for Vaultwarden. All we need to do is just run this, and then I'm just going to copy and paste the script that I have here. You can see I already have it set up with my email And then I'm doing a production TLS certificate, so shouldn't have any issues with that. Then I can just go ahead and create this issuer. And now with that, we should have all the prerequisites set up. So now we're gonna add the Vaultwarden repo. So to be able to do this, you're just gonna come down here. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this one. And you're gonna hit create. You're gonna type in Vaultwarden for the name, and then you're gonna paste this script here. This comes from this guy named Gurzon, and this is someone who made a Helm chart for Vaultwarden, so we don't have to do really too much on our own, right? This is very easy. He's already set it up for us, and we're just gonna tweak his values to be able to fit it to our cluster needs. So let's hit create. Should work here, and now it exists. And then if we go to charts, it'll pop up in just a second. Sometimes it takes a minute or two, but there you go. So now to actually install it, we're gonna hit install, or select it, hit install, and then we're gonna go over to Vaultwarden, or to the install instructions. We're gonna choose the namespace Vaultwarden. If you haven't created it, you can hit create new namespace. At this point, you probably should have created it. And then in name, you're just gonna name it Vaultwarden, keep it simple. And then here are the values YAML. So in here, there's a few different things that we're gonna want to update. One of these things is this database section, right? So this is gonna be using Postgresql. So what we're gonna wanna do is change this type to Postgresql, all lowercase. We're gonna name it the port 5432, which is the default for Postgresql. The host in this instance is gonna be cluster-database-rw.postgresql.svc.cluster.local. This is gonna be essentially whatever your cloud native Postgres instance is, or whatever type of Postgres that you have running. So make sure you get that host correct. The existing password key and user key, I actually set this to password and username, but we're gonna want to update our existing secret to match the one that we created. So Vaultwarden Postgresql and then our database name, as you remember, Vaultwarden. And with that, that should get this covered. If we scroll down, we should see the thing that says domain. We're gonna want to update this to reflect the domain we're gonna want to give this. In my instance, I'm using pass.johnnydeets.com. Just like that. I'm gonna change this after I get this video out, so it's a little more, it's not just what this video is gonna be pointing to. But yeah, this is what you're gonna want to set. And then if we keep going down, the next thing we're gonna want to change is the ingress. In this ingress, we're gonna want to update to be using our annotation that is specific for our version of the cert manager. In this case, I'm using an issuer, and the name of that issuer is Let's Encrypt. And then we want to enable this. We want to change the host name to match the one I'm using. The labels aren't too important, and then we're gonna change the TOS secret to Let's Encrypt. And that should be good on this portion. And then the final portion is, if we scroll way down, you should see SMTP. There's also something right here that you want to note: signups_allowed. So I think the first instance, you want to be able to sign up, and you're going to sign up with whatever email that you want. And then we can come back in and set this to false to block people from signing up and using your own Vaultwarden's instance. So you can get like your family on your home cluster and then turn off the ability for anyone else to use it. That way it's like specific to your family and not just the World Wide Web, and anyone who has the IP can start jumping in with you. Anyway, so we're going to be jumping in on this guy. So we're going to name the existing secret to the one that we have right here. The from needs to be the place that you're going to be coming from. Mine is johnnydeets@gmail.com. From name, I'm just going to name this Vaultwarden. This is what's going to appear from the sender name. The host is smtp.gmail.com. and then our existing secret key for the password, in my case is just password. The port is 587, and then the existing key for the username is just username. Again, if you don't create the secrets, you could just enter the values here. This way I have it separate and in their own instances. One last thing though is that this value up here is the admin token. This is the default token. I'm not sure what it is, but you should override this with your own hash algorithm. And from what I understand, you can run it initially, and then we can create a admin token afterwards, then apply it to the actual Helm chart. So this values YAML, and update it from there. So we're gonna do that. We should be good from there. You can also set this to empty, and then you won't have an admin token, which from what I understand might be risky, but I'm not exactly sure how it would be. All right, and then we're gonna hit next, and then hit install. I changed the timeout here to 200 because usually if the timeout goes more than to the 600 mark, that's 10 minutes. It's usually something has gone wrong, and we gotta fix it. And you can't reapply any of the values or update any of the values until that 10 minutes is hit. And yeah, it can be kind of annoying having to do it like that. Wait until that 10 minutes is actually all the way done. So you can see here it's actually running. So now what I like to do is actually and it worked. So cool. Yeah, let's go to the URL for this. Now that I'm on here, you can see, I need an email address. I'm actually going to create an account. I'm going to use my name, and then it's going to send me an email. So let's go check that out. And you can see here in my email address, it says from me, Vaultwarden is the name of the sender. And then the email address, because I have that app password, is able to actually just send the email. I can hit this, and I now have verified my email, right? So that SMTP is working properly. So now I need a master password, and then a password hint. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this up, and we're gonna continue from there. So my account has been created, and then the last thing I need to do is actually just import some data or start creating items. And yeah, that's pretty much everything here. Really cool stuff. You can see here, you can delete your account, purge, vault, and everything else. Change your email. It gives you some options here, some security, changing your master password, two-step login. The neat thing about this is now using the extensions with this. So now you can see here, I can hit self-hosted. I can type in the host name for this, and then I can now type in my email and then the master password. You can see here, now that I'm logged in on this, I'm able to then, if I actually want to log into something, so I'm going to do, you can see here, you can create a new login for the one you're logging into. It gives you the item name, your website URL, URI, and then you can you can type out your username, password, and then hit save. And then next time you come in here, you'll have all of your credentials saved. It'll immediately load it. And you can see here, you can even use that generator right here and get it exactly how you want. So pretty cool stuff for this tool. And again, because they have the app, the desktop app, and everything else, you don't have to worry about which device you're on. You can just connect to your hosted server and use it pretty much anywhere for all of your passwords. So, and that master password is protecting you from everyone else. All right, and one of the last things that we're gonna need to do is if you go to /admin on your Vaultwarden page, you can see it actually wants you to enter your admin token, and that's something we didn't get to in updating. So I went over to the Vaultwarden wiki, and you can see in here how they recommend you to update this token. So it's a hash string, so it's fine for it to be in the values YAML, and you can just essentially copy this command. I'll have it down below as well in configuration readme, so plenty of places to access it. But once you run this command, you can it will then print out a string that is essentially what we're going to replace our admin token in the values YAML with, and then when we rerun it, it should allow us to log in to the admin panel from Vaultwarden. So let me go ahead and set a super secret password, and then we're gonna go ahead and go with that. Okay, I went ahead and set my password. It's in my clipboard. So we're gonna go over here. We're gonna hit apps, installed applications. We're gonna hit this one that's deployed. We're gonna edit and upgrade. We're gonna customize Helm before install, and then we're gonna paste this over this guy. And I went ahead and pasted it. So this is my hash password for my admin token. And then the other thing I want to test and make sure works is I want to actually disable the signups_allowed. So I'm gonna say false on this guy, and we're gonna see if this works. So we're gonna hit next. I'm gonna again shorten that and then hit update. I've logged in, and then if I go to /admin, boom, by typing in the super secret password, I now have access to my configuration. And from what I understand, that this right here is actually a lot of the configuration that we did in the values YAML. So there's not much benefit to actually updating this, but it might be nice to be able to jump in here and actually access it. And you can click users and actually see the users and delete users and whatnot. That way you can kind of verify that you're the only one that's running connected to it, or your family's the only ones that are connected to it, and you can kind of lock it down that way. And then the other thing I want to do, so I'm actually going to log out. Yeah, and you can see here there's no sign up option. I can't sign up anymore. So by locking that down, I specifically made it impossible for people to use my password manager server for their own passwords. So like now it's just limited essentially to that one email that I have registered, which is my email. And yeah, that should be pretty much everything for this. And hopefully you guys found this useful. Please leave any comments or anything down below. Please consider subscribing. I'm going to keep making more home cluster videos. I was planning to do this video as KeyPass. I think I talked about this earlier, but yeah, I ended up wanting to go over with Vaultwarden because not being able to use KeyPass on my phone was kind of a real pain. Also on other machines, it was just a real pain. So being able to do this way seems very nice and very solid going forward. So I'm just gonna be using this for all my credential management. My next video is more than likely gonna be how to set up backups on a remote server. That way you can set up your own backups efficiently and effectively. So thanks for watching. Please consider subscribing, and see you next time.